Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Martin Mcnicholl. I am a speaker, intuitive channel and breathworker. I'm the founder and creator of activatebreathwork.com and martinmcnicholl.com. Thank you all for joining me today on this very special webinar. This will be the first time that I have created something quite like this. And as you can see, I have been guided to come outside today to do this webinar. I hope the sound is okay. So I've just got a new mic today as well. So I'm testing lots of new equipment, and true to form, I've moved to this little space where it's usually very quiet, and some dogs have come around. So apologies if there's any noises of dogs and that going around. But if you are on the video there now, if you could please just let me know that the sound is working okay and you can hear me, you can just put it into the chat. So I'm going to share a little bit about what we are going to be undertaking today. So I have been channeling and in communication with a non-physical collective consciousness named AnandA. This connection has been going on for the last couple of years. For the first part of that period, I kept all of it to myself. I had a lot of fears around it. I had a lot of things that prevented me from sharing that with people. But over time, over the last few years, I've let go a lot of the fears, and I've connected more strongly, and I have worked on my physical body and my energy system through various practices of breathwork and yoga and meditation. And I have tuned myself now to be able to work with this energy. It's a very, very powerful energy. When I am actually channeling this, the energy in my body is, I could only describe it as bliss, just a pure rush of positive energy, really, really powerful. And so this, as I say, the connection has been going on for a couple of years. It began with some vocal channeling. Then late last year, I began to do some channeled writing, and just recently, this has begun again. So the process of that, if you followed some other channels, it's quite a common story where they get awakened in the middle of the night, usually around 3 a.m. for me, and I just get up with this urge to begin writing and sharing some messages, and I take out a pen and piece of paper and I begin writing, and what comes through is what we're going to be sharing today. So this is the first stage of me sharing this information. I have put this information on a blog on my website. I haven't done full vocal channeling as yet. That is on the way. I am just feeling it out, and as I say, working through some fears, and it's just practice. I've done it, but today I want to share with you a very powerful message that came through a couple of days ago. It happened again at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it is around what has become known as the event. So many of you that are in this community, you may be aware of what is known of as the event. And there's various different stories and different channels and different information out there, as always. So this information came through a couple of days ago to me, and it's quite different to most of the other things that I have heard around this. If you've not heard of the event, that doesn't matter either. This information is multi-dimensional information. If this is your first time listening to channeled information, it may seem quite complicated language. It doesn't matter necessarily that you understand this message with your mind. Secondly, it doesn't matter the source or myself. What is important is the message, and you listen with your heart, you don't listen with your mind. So this information is, as I say, it's multidimensional. If you hear this again afterwards, you can hear different things in it. It's very powerful, and it's a lot of good advice and preparations around this event. So this event, as I say, it's been touted as a big event in raising the consciousness of Earth. It's been talked about as a solar flare. It's been talked about as one big flash event where everything's going to change. I am open, as always, to whatever it is. AnandA is going to share what their perspective of is of that, and we will see what you feel about it. And as I say, it's a really good practice when you're listening to this sort of thing to turn everything off, really get in a meditative state and listen to this information through the heart. Don't try and mentally or logically understand with your mind. Just let it flow into, and forget about, as I say, forget about me as the person who is delivering this. Just allow it to come through, and don't worry too much about where it's coming from. It's the message is what's important. So I will be reading this message, and then I will open it up for some questions. If anyone has any questions that about what we talked about for more clarification or anything like that, and we'll open it up. So I will begin that now, and I would just like to ask anyone and everyone who is joining now or in the future to just now close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths in and out through the nose. Relax your body. And just allow any thoughts to come and go, allow them to melt and move on. A couple of deep cleansing breaths, and just bring yourself to this moment and open your heart to this information. Allow yourself to be centered, allow yourself to be open, and just rest and listen to my voice. Hello, dear ones, we are with you again. We are AnandA, we are your friends and teachers, and we bring this message of love through this being at this great time in your evolution. We want to address what has become known as the event in your collective. You all, as humanity, are shifting and evolving into a new dimensional space. You are graduating into the next level of your evolution, to the new, more aligned and connected versions of yourselves. This shift is and has been going on forever. Since the beginning of time, and more specifically, the fall of consciousness, you have been re-merging and reawakening to your true essence. You are remembering yourself as an intricate and intrinsic part of the body of God. In the dimension you are emerging from, time and linear progression have been the binding factor of your experience. You experience birth and death, expansion and contraction. You observe and either celebrate or condemn your past. Your histories are written and rewritten by the victors of many battles that you have blindly suffered in the sea of delusion. That time is coming to an end. Many of you are aware or becoming aware of your interdimensional realities and counterparts. Many of you experience what you think of as past lives. Again, we are here to share with you that there is no past, there is no future, there is only this divine eternal moment of now. As you move into this new dimension, your timeless selves are merging, and your access to more information and memory is available to you in this moment. You will see and come to know that what you thought of as linear progression and life after life is an illusion for the purposes of your soul's evolution and your collective awakening to an ever-expanding opening to this divine truth. The word event refers to a moment or a collection of moments within linear time. An event or snapshot in the infinite can only be experienced through the lens of a linear progression perception. Your dear planet, Mother Gaia, has already shifted into a new dimensional reality and place in the cosmos. You, as humanity, are a divine and intrinsic part of this celestial body called Earth. As you realign to her frequency, you will more and more move beyond the boundaries of time. The limitations of your awareness will merge and melt into the isness of timeless being. What before were considered events or more points in time will now coalesce into more of a flowing dance than a military march. From the perspective of the third dimensional reality, our words can sound paradoxical, and to the ego mind, none of this is possible. For the ego survives on its story, comparison, and safety within confined boundaries. These imaginary boundaries are melting away, and this is likely to cause a lot of turbulence in your ego-based linear world and structures. This turbulence and change is a necessary part of Earth and humanity's evolution and growth. What we most want to share with you now, dear sisters and brothers of Earth, is that you are the event. The time of separation, fear, and hierarchical dominance is crumbling. The time of history being his story, a series of events told by the group who overcame or enslaved their brothers and sisters, is gone. You are all awakening to your oneness, wholeness, and timelessness. The time of waiting for an external savior or event has disintegrated along with the rigid hierarchical systems that created this never-ending waiting game. The event is you now. You are every event that has been, is, and ever will be within your perception. What you experience as an individual point of focus within this infinite whole is up to you. You have free will to make of yourself an event of true freedom and liberation of love, or you can create and become another event in his story. There is no judgment here. We offer an expanded view from our perspective in the non-physical. We exist beyond the limitations with which you are now moving through. We are one with you in all ways, and all that separates us is your lack of awareness of your true source and divinity. We see you as our younger sisters and brothers, growing and finding your way through the joys and the challenges of childhood. In the eyes of God or the infinite creator, all children, all of creation is one and the same. The story of your perceived development is not visible to this infinite source of love and creation. Your hierarchical systems on earth have divided you, separated you, classified you, and pigeonholed you into levels of worthiness. This is all based on illusory controls of religion, class, money, race, and any way in which you could be divided and conquered. All of these levels, hidden by smoke and mirrors, have been very real to you in your limited state of consciousness. These walls of paper are now crashing and falling to show the oneness of all things. There is no one event that will herald this dawning on all beings. All you experience as an individuation of the One depends on the vibration you hold. This is why we bring these messages through this being and many others at this time. If you hear these words, it is because you have drawn them from within you to allow your remembrance and to awaken a timeless truth within your heart. This is a call from yourself, to open your eyes, open your hearts, and take your place in the divine event of your rebirth and remerging with your universal family. In this time of shift and awakening, your daily practice is of utmost importance. If you are to navigate your own event in a balanced and peaceful, joyful way, we invite you to use the tools and practices you have been given by many masters and teachers of your planet. Meditation, breath, movement, time alone in nature are key. Take time every day to forgive yourself and others, and give gratitude for all it is in your experience. Free yourself from the fear-based events perpetuated and manipulated through your media, news, and entertainment sources. Give your bodies time to rest and switch off all devices that lower your vibration and keep you locked in time. Within the limitations of your language, many of our words may seem paradoxical, and this is inevitable. Your language is time-based and cannot express timeless truth. It can only point towards it. As you move more and more into your multidimensional selves, the need for linear language will lessen. Your telepathic and other extrasensory abilities will expand, and the language of the heart will blossom. In this time of transition, allow your concepts of this or that to be one and merge into this and that. Your world of duality, merging into oneness and divine dichotomy, is an eternal truth of wholeness. As humanity, you create in a collective form as well as individually. You are a collective, you co-create with Mother Gaia. As a whole, your collective energy creates many waves of experience on a larger level. Your collective is vibrating at an expanded level now, and this is creating timelines on a global and a galactic scale. The events created at a collective level have more pull, if you will, and this is the energy of great change you are experiencing now. Having said that, global events are still experienced through your individual conscious experience. We share this with you so that you know that just because the planet and humanity is arising doesn't mean that all of you will be lifted automatically by a single event or cosmic wave of love. You must each individually make a choice to meet this wave and match this vibration of ascension. The time of saviors and gurus is gone. You must take back your power and know that you alone have the ability and choice to rise up to meet this new divine potential, or be swept back into the same stagnant pool of fear and division. This is an auspicious and monumental movement in humanity's evolution. There are many beings, physical and non-physical, helping, assisting, and rejoicing in your awakening. Many of you will have contact in various ways, and when you are open to the myriad methods of divine connection, you will receive all you need in the way best suited to you. Your creative qualities are your best allies in this moment. Sing and dance and paint and create and write and move and meditate and listen and feel all the ways we and the rest of your cosmic family speaks to you in your heart. Connect and listen to nature spirits. Bask in the sunshine that is brighter and more powerful than ever before. The rays of golden energy are full of healing light and information, so allow the fullness of all of nature to uplift and awaken you. There are tribes of beings of light willing and supporting you all onwards. We whisper in your ears gently and offer our loving guidance. We are full of joy watching your awakening to your divine destiny. Your beauty and power is beyond measure. Your capacity to love and be loved is unlimited. Shine bright, dear sisters and brothers of light in humanity. You are the event you have been waiting for, and we are with you always in love. We are AnandA. We are your friends and teachers, and we will speak with you again soon. Om. So there it is. Very beautiful message from AnandA. This really shifts me when I read these passages, that although I have written them, I know that I have not written them as this personality. And each time I read it and hear it, it sounds, I get something different. I feel something different, but it's a very powerful energy. It's a lot to take in. If this is something new to you, I understand that this can be quite challenging language and some concepts that you may not be aware of. But as I said, the best way to deal with this is to really listen with your heart and don't try to question too much with your mind around the source and around what's going on. So, yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to share that with you. This will be a work in progress where I will eventually move to full vocal channeling of this. So in the moment, channeling this information that comes through in the moment. I have done some of this in private. I have not done it publicly as yet, and that is part of my journey. That is something that I will do. So let's see when that arises. So what I would like to do now is look at a few of these concepts and open it up to any questions. If any of you that are there have any questions about anything that you have heard, I'm going to just check on the Facebook as well. You can also send me a message in private if you want, if you don't want your question to be on the webinar here. So the event. So what they have said here is that basically that in third dimensional reality, in the world that we know, all events happen within time, and they are They're time-based, they're time-bound, it has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. So this event that they are talking about here is not within time, although we will experience it within time. And that can be quite a challenging concept to get your head around as well. But what they are saying here with this event around the time and around the fact that we are the event is that everything that we experience in our perception is individual to us, and the world we see outside of us is a projection or a mirror image of what is going on within us. So we use other people, places, events, and things to mirror back to ourselves our reality. And events, if you think of historical events, they all happen within a time period, and we're taught at school about history, and this happened in this year, and it started here, and in the middle there, and it ended there. In ultimate reality, time does not exist. Time is an illusion, and time is a function of our consciousness that allows us to experience evolution, experience growth, experience life and death and movement. But in ultimate reality, everything exists here and now. So this event that has been going around that people are talking about in channels and other sources of information, they have been talking about a more time-based event where we can see a specific event that in the physical, that like a bright flash in the sky and everything goes dark, and the next day everyone's awakened. This is some of the things that I've heard. And then obviously, of course, we have the other end of that scale where we have people talking about the end of the world and this mass extinction event and haywire and all of the things that go around fear and the end of the world, and you've heard these things over and over again. So for me, from the guidance that I've received and what I feel in my heart, is that this is not necessarily going to be an event where you can say at a certain time on a certain day that was the event. It's more going to be an awakening, a movement, a gradual evolution. And of course, on the physical level, there's going to be many things that we see within that is going to point to that event, let's say. So they talked about the hierarchical systems that we've had on our planet since forever. So that would be like religion, education, governments, financial systems, all of the systems that have hierarchical kind of pyramid structures. Those are, and they've shared this many times, those are crumbling, and those are not going to be a vibrational match to this new energy, and those energies are going to be shaken up, and those things are going to be taken down, and they're going to have to reform in new ways. And you can already see this in the world now. You can see this around the money system and cryptocurrencies and a lot of volatility and these types of things, and alternative means of exchange and barter and all of these things. You can see a lot around the governments and corruption and a lot of the things. Although I don't follow news too much, I do take AnandA's advice. I don't have a TV, I don't follow news, but I do obviously have Facebook and social media, so that's where a lot of my news and things come from. Whether that's a good thing or not is yet to be seen. But we see governments and instability, and these are all hierarchical systems and education systems, and showing up that these things are not working, and they're going to be out of alignment with this new energy. So this event for me is going to be more like a wave, like they mentioned here, where we talked about when we see linear time is like we have a start, a middle, and end. So they called it like a military march, where it's just marching forward, 1 2 1 2 1 2, and they described it as more of a flowing dance. So that's what I feel like this event is going to be, is more of a movement, a flow. It's something that's going to shift us all over time, and it's going to emerge and become and grow as we shift along with it. So another thing that they mentioned there is that the earth has already made a transition. The earth has moved into a higher dimensional space. And what we're doing as humanity, which we are part of Earth, we are children of Earth, if you will, we are gradually at different stages of matching that new vibration. So how does that show up? You will have seen this everywhere in the world as well. When the Earth is shifting, that will lead to a lot of natural events that lead to change, that lead to movement. So like the hurricanes, the tsunamis, anything natural, volcanoes, earthquakes, these types of things, these are all signs of Earth rebalancing. And within our structures, we need to do the same thing. So apologies, there's just a train going by. I will just let that go past. Take a little drink of water. So these shifts will continue to happen. These shifts of the Earth, these movements, these rebalancing. Nature always balances itself in the best way possible. We may not be able to see it at the time, but nature always throughout time has created floods and fires and earthquakes, and these are not events that are some sort of vengeful Earth on the humans. Yes, in reality, there are tragedies and things that happen within that within Earth, natural disasters. We see them all of the time, but on a higher scale, on a planetary or galactic scale, we don't see the higher purpose of those things. It's hard because we're here in this very limited point of view. We're in a place where we're within bodies that are third dimensional, or some are moving towards other higher versions of that, but to the greatest degree, we're in a third dimensional realm with very 3D bodies and 3D environments. But that will change, and that's what they talked about here, is that more and more people are going to be experiencing moving to this higher dimension. And how does that show up in your life? So for many people, they will start to their multi-sensory or extrasensory abilities will start to awaken. So telepathic abilities that may be like I have around channeling, and there could be just premonitions and dreams get very, very strong and very real and lucid. And these things are normal, and all of humanity has these abilities, but they have been blocked and they have been dampened and they have been shrouded in fear for many years, because when people awaken to their higher abilities, all of these hierarchical systems and all the control systems just melt away. Because when people are awakened or begin to awaken, they start to see the illusory forms. They start to see how we have been duped and how we have been just completely, the wool has been pulled over our eyes about what truly is reality, and more importantly, what our true power is. Our co-creative consciousness is what creates everything you see. You may be watching this video now or in the future, and you're hearing my voice and you're hearing words, but ultimately that is you. Your consciousness is using me as a vehicle to send messages to yourself. And there could be 100 people listen to these words, and they may get 100 different meanings, 100 different messages. And that's the reality of what consciousness is, and that how we create everything that we see. It doesn't seem like it from this perspective, but as you open up your awareness, as you move beyond the physical through various practices of yoga and breathwork and plant medicines and anything that moves you beyond the third dimensional realm, you start to see reality in a much more broad and expanded way, and it's a much more beautiful way as well. And we have ultimate beauty here in the third dimensional reality and nature, and but when you expand your awareness into into the levels beyond. The beauty and the form and the connection and the oneness is just beyond measure. And as they also mentioned here, language is so limited. So language, we can never truly share what we experience when we move into those realms, which I have, and many others I'm sure have as well. Language just does not do justice. It's impossible for language to describe what they are sharing with us, because language is based in time. This webinar started at just after 6 o'clock. We're 30 minutes in, so that we have a linear progression of start and middle and end, and that's how our language works. But when you move beyond the third dimension and you move into higher realms, everything is instant. Time is not the way we experience it. All things are one, here and now, and communication is it can be telepathic, it can be just instant knowing, it can be, you will have experienced this here as well. So if you think about things like deja vu, or you think about just having a hunch about something and then it happens, these are small openings into your extrasensory abilities and the timeless realm. And you could think about a very simple example is when you're doing something that you really love, and time just seems to stand still. And then conversely, if you're doing something that you really hate, time seems to take very, very long, and time seems to drag. And there's lots of things that it just feels like it's so long. But in reality, it's the same amount of time in physical. So that's some of the ways in which you can know and experience that this is happening to you. If you're experiencing things now, this is very important to say, if you're experiencing some things now that you don't understand, you may be feeling physical discomfort, you may be feeling like ringing in the ears. There's many symptoms of this type of thing, which the term ascension symptoms. If there's things going on that you don't understand, that's okay. It's normal. It's happening. And as you surrender to it and allow it, this is something that I've had to learn the hard way over the last 3 years with my connection with AnandA. If you surrender to it and allow it, it becomes much easier. So I can tell you a little bit about what I'm describing there. When I started with my connection with AnandA, it was so intense that I literally couldn't handle it. And my body, I definitely couldn't be sat here doing what I'm doing now. My whole body just went into convulsions, and I would shake, and I would feel a strong energy, and I would be like lots of jerky movements. And a few of my friends have seen this from time to time, and it doesn't look very pleasant, but actually when you're in it, it's not as bad as it looks, but it definitely looks more uncomfortable than most. And you will find, as you start to open up your awareness, as you start to work on the physical body, detoxify the physical body, which is very important, you will start to experience more and more. And these things don't have to be uncomfortable, but if you don't understand them, or you haven't got someone else that does understand, that you can ask about, it can feel a bit frightening, it can feel a bit strange. So that's normal. Don't worry about that. Just connect with people online, use the miracle of the internet, where there are people all around the world at a touch of a button or a screen that do understand where you're coming from and what is going on with you. So I would like to just go about another thing that they say, which I really loved in this message, is that the event is you now. So they've taken it a kind of a level further beyond this event that happens to us, or this event that we experience, or an event that we are in. They actually say the event is you now. So basically what they're saying again is this: your co-creative consciousness is what creates your experience. So there are infinite ways in which you can experience this shift, this evolution, this movement, but in general, the two ways in which you can experience this is in what we consider a positive way, or what we could say in a negative way. So in ultimate reality, there is no positive, negative. There is just a a swirling dance of experience. But for the purposes of explanation and using the limited human language, I have to use those terms. So the way we would say that we can experience our event as us in a positive way is by uplifting and matching this higher vibration, which we can do by various practices that I mentioned for yoga, meditation, energy work, sound healing, anything that raises our vibration, anything that makes us feel good, joyful, anything that takes us to a place of out of the thinking mind, out of the logical mind, and out of the cause and effect, and more that flowing dance that they mentioned. And it doesn't necessarily have to be meditation or breathwork or these types of things that people experience. This can be creative things like they talk, like painting or dancing or singing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual in any way, what we call spiritual. It could be that creating or building a building is your form of expression, your soul's expression. And when you're doing that work, or you're creating something new, or it's something you're working in nature, or you're planting, or these types of things, something that takes you out of the normal thinking mind and just encompasses you, that's the practices that you need to do. And it will be individual for everyone. And but you know the things that will work for you, and continue to do those. The system that we are under, our systems that we are under, are what they talk about, these hierarchical systems, where we go to school, we learn some skills, we go to university to train to get a job, to work for X amount of years until we can retire and earn enough money to while out the rest of our life without any purpose, and we're moved out of that system again. That general system is crumbling by the second, by the moment. But while many people are still in that, and most people, the majority of people, of course, are in that, and that's okay. But you have to find time for yourself. You must put yourself first. And this is another thing that I have been working on recently, and it's another thing that the system deliberately teaches you to not do. It's seen as selfish, or it's seen as you're only looking after yourself, you need to take care of others. But this is backward, and this is how people have been kept enslaved. You must look after your vibration first, and this includes everyone. I'm talking families, parents, all of those, because you cannot look after or serve anyone else unless you have looked after yourself first. You can't drink from an empty cup. You cannot give what you don't have. So you must work on yourself. You must uplift yourself first in whatever way you can. I know there are many limitations and challenges within this world, and I talk with many people who have families and lots of commitments and time constraints, and they still are able to do this to some degree. And the most important thing is that you go easy on yourself as well, and really show yourself self-love, self-compassion, and do the best you can. And with these practices, a little bit goes a long way. So for me, breathwork is the most powerful practice that I do. It's my passion. It's what I share with people, and it's something that everyone can do anywhere, anytime. So for me, this is the ultimate tool that we have. AnandA shared some others as well. So, but with the breath, because it's, number one, it's free. Number two, we can do it at any time. Number three, it has no limits to the potential of how we can use it. So I really encourage people to get a breathwork practice going. Say it's very simple to begin. There's lots of tutorials and things online, and you can go to our website, activatebreathwork.com, if you want to find out some more there. I've got lots of videos and tutorials and courses and that type of thing. But that is such a powerful thing, because just one conscious breath is a meditation. So formal meditation, or sitting on the top of a mountain in this pose, is, yes, ideal, but for most people that's not the reality. So taking conscious breath, or taking 1 minute of watching your breath or using more advanced circular breaths or these types of things is such a powerful way in which you can center yourself, ground yourself, release stress, and take yourself back to the moment. So the other practices that they have talked about, I'm just going to get them here. So they talked about the key were meditation and breath. Just have to find them here. And time alone in nature. So meditation, breath, movement, and time alone in nature are key. So that's the practices that they have given for everyone. So again, meditation. And meditation can be, as I said, it can be something not necessarily spiritual, just something that takes you out of the thinking mind. Breath, I've mentioned. Movement, any form of movement, walking, running, exercise, qigong, anything like that is really, really good to balance the body and balance the physical and the non-physical. And this is what we're trying to do. We're merging the physical and non-physical as we move through this movement. And time alone in nature. So I was guided by AnandA to come outside to do this webinar today. So I've got a little outdoor setup here, and it's working very well. I'm very happy. But getting time alone in nature is so important and so powerful. Mother Earth Gaia is the number one healer that we have access to outside of our own being. So just getting your bare feet on the earth. If you live in a cold country, you can put blankets down. There's ways in which you can do this. Getting in contact with nature, with animals, with trees, with plants, getting your hands dirty. All of these things are healing, and these are where we came from. These are our history, if you will. We came from the earth. We're part of the earth. The earth is a living, breathing entity, and we are its children. We are part of it. We are not separate, although it looks as if we are. And if you looked at how we treat each other and the earth, you would think that we weren't, but ultimately we are. And that is what we are moving towards, is merging with all of nature, merging with earth, and eventually merging with beings that exist beyond this dimension and beyond this plane. And that is why they are here now. They're here for our evolution. They're here for our growth. They're here for us to awaken to our true individual potential and awaken to all that we were meant to be, do, and have here in this dimension. So they're just connecting with me very strongly there in that moment. I think I'm still resisting a little bit to let that go, but I know that information can come through. And the thing to say about this as well, one of my favorite teachers and amazing channel, Daryl Anka, and he channels Bashar, if anyone is aware of them. Something that he brought through a couple of years ago was that every one of us are channeling. Our personalities are actually channeled personalities. We are taking information from our higher selves and channeling through this limited physical body. So everyone is channeling. There is this kind of mystique around vocal channeling or these types of things, but everyone not only is able to do this, actually is doing this, but we just are not aware of it. If we could see ourselves from a broader perspective, like AnandA do, we would see that we are taking information from elsewhere and we're funneling it through this physical experience for our own growth, for our soul's evolution. So I'm getting eaten by ants just at the moment here. So yeah, that's channeling is something that everyone does to some degree, and obviously there are times when we do it more clearly than others. And I feel like when people are really at their best energetically, or they're doing creative things, that's when they're channeling. If you think about sports people, when they talk about they're in the zone, they seem like they have more time than anyone else. They seem like it's just easy. They're channeling. They're in the zone. They're in that moment. They're not thinking about what's going on. That is channeling. So don't get too caught up on what the form of channeling is. And I do hope, no, I don't hope, I know that when I allow this to come, that I will be able to allow this to go through just very, very easily and very, very fluently. I just have to work on it and practice it and let go of some fears. I'll be very honest. It's a challenging thing to come on and do this and share messages from another dimension in this very normal 3D world, the world of webinars and internet and Facebook. This is not your average conversation for most people, but I know and I feel and I know this is part of my mission. This is part of the reason that I have been born on this planet, is to share these messages, to share this wisdom, to share these experiences so that others can awaken to their true potential. And I will always share my challenges as well. So I won't pretend to be super confident and this is easy for me. I have worked through many fears and I've worked through many shadows and I've worked through many things to get to the point where I am able to do this. And I've done a lot of personal work and a lot of transformation over the past 10 years. And I didn't think it would lead to where it did, but that's the whole point of it. We don't know. Our imagination is so limited. What we think we can imagine as the best purpose for us or the highest purpose for us is minuscule in what all it is, or God, or this infinite energy can show for us, because it is literally that. It's unlimited. So it's an important point that AnandA shares a lot, is that we should not limit the way in which we feel that we can expand or grow, or we can share with other people. We need to open to all possibilities, open to all levels, and be in the moment and just allow what needs to come through us to come through us. I have to listen to my own advice on that one. Just get a drink. So if anyone has any questions, I've went on for about 45 minutes, which is quite amazing. Well, not really. If you've seen my videos before, I can ramble on all day, and I'm very happy to do that. So if anyone has any questions they would like to ask me, or potentially AnandA through me, because as I said, when I watch videos that I have done where I've not necessarily officially said that I'm channeling, their information is coming through. That is, in those moments where you saw just before that is, it's filtered through my perception, my beliefs, my limitations. But I watch back these videos and it's like I'm watching another person, and I hear things I've never heard during that session or whatever. So if you have a question, don't be shy. Please share it. Ask anything at all. There's no limits. If you want to ask anything about me personally, I am a complete open book when it comes to that. As you know, if you've been following me for any length of time, that I share everything that I feel is helpful and beneficial. And a lot of people have told me that this has been very beneficial to them. So if anyone has any questions, you can message me, or you can put it on the Facebook. So I am just going to read some questions from the Facebook. So Nick says, what's your opinion where the idea of a single planetary shift event comes from, and if it's directed misinformation? Okay, Nick, my brother, thank you for that question. So for me, there's a lot. So there's pluses and minuses we have on the internet. It's the biggest blessing, but at times it can also be the biggest curse, because just like anyone can come on and share information and their opinion, and that is a good thing on one hand, and on the other hand, it leads to lots of confusion, lots of mismatch of information, and lots of should we say just varying degrees of what the truth is, and it depends who you listen to. So I have read and heard many accounts from so many different sources, and a lot of times they talked about the single planetary event. Some positive, some negative, and others talked about it being more of a movement, and we wouldn't see much things like we could say a pinpoint an event. So for me personally, I am open to all, even though like my connection with AnandA is very strong, and what they share resonates strongly with my heart. I take in all information, and I don't make a judgment of this is right and this is wrong. So I am open to all. What Nick asked is if the information that would be counter to what AnandA says, saying that this is going to be a single planetary event, like we could say, it's not like this, but we could say an earthquake happened at this time on a Tuesday, and that was the event. And he's asking, do you think, is that something to create fear? I would assume is why he's asking, is that something that would create fear? So people fear this end of the world again. And we've had many of these things. I would say to some degree, there will be some of that. And also that I think it's a balance. There's going to be big earth events where we could say on a day, wow, everything has gone crazy. The money systems collapsed, the internets went down, electrics went out, or people are acting crazy, people are divided. That is very possible and quite likely. So I would say, in answer to your question, Nick, that I feel it's somewhere in the middle and somewhere a balance of what I would say. And is it directed misinformation? I would say, again, I feel like there is some of it, but there's truth to all of it. And ultimately, what I would say, and I think I've talked with you about this before as well, is that ultimately, because we are creating what we experience, it's how we frame the experience is what we are going to experience. So they talked about here is if the time of saviors and gurus is gone, you must take back your power and know that you alone have the ability and choice to rise up to meet this new divine potential or be swept back into the same stagnant pool of fear and division. So one could argue that if we think this is going to be a wholly positive event and we flow with it and we raise our vibration and we do all the things that's been advised to us and we ride this wave, it's going to be a positive event. If we look at it as a very fearful event where things are going to just crash and burn and everything's going to collapse and I won't have any food to eat and I don't know what to do, then that could very likely take you through your creative consciousness, co-creative consciousness, back to a stagnant pool of fear and division. So it really is down to you. What truth is going to be individual to each person, and what your vibration is what will dictate what you experience, how you experience it, when you experience it. So I think regardless of what the specific truth is, for me, you can't go wrong with raising your vibration, focusing on what you want, doing the things that bring you joy and peace, do the things that help yourself and others. And then regardless of what happens, if it's a complete meltdown, you'll be more balanced and able to help others. If it's a more gentle, flowing dance, then it's perfect as well. So everything ultimately is all in perfection now. So that's what I would say. And find out what's true for you, and take all information with a pinch of salt, including everything what I say and AnandA shares. I constantly say this, that don't take anything that I say for as truth or work it out. Dog just came and gave a little bite there. Everything that I say, take it and put it into your experience and try what the things that resonate with you in this message, try them, take them for yourself, practice them, see what happens. If there's things in here that really repel you and you think, no, this is completely wrong, then don't take that part on. Being a cherry picker in these sorts of things is what our divine potential is we choose our experience, and we can experience whatever we choose, and it's dependent on our vibration. And I don't think there's anyone that can then argue with the fact that if we raise our vibration, if we focus on what we want, if we are positive light and a change maker in the world, we feel better, others feel better, people get benefits around that. So I hope that answered your question, Nick, and I will take a look here. So thank you everyone else for joining here. Zach, Rosie, Nick, Nikki, We've got some few others on there. I can't scroll down and see them. So yeah, if anyone else has any questions around anything that I have shared on here about AnandA, about channeling, about the event, about the shift, about my personal practice, anything at all, you can ask. You can type it in the chat here on the webinar software. I'm quite new to this software, so I'm hoping that I will be able to see them here. But you can, if you're watching on Facebook, you can also share it there. Until that does come through, I'll pick out another point within this that really spoke to me and was really beautiful, I thought. So it was at the end, saying that there are tribes of beings of light, willing and supporting you all onwards. We whisper in your ears and gently offer our loving guidance. We are full of joy watching your awakening to your divine destiny. Your beauty and power is beyond measure. Your capacity to love and be loved is unlimited. Shine bright, dear sisters and brothers of light in humanity. You are the event you have been waiting for, and we are with you always in love. So I feel like this is a really important point when people are going through shifts and changes and transformations in their life. It can feel very lonely. It can feel like they're all alone. I know I went through, and I shared before about my journey through drink and drugs and depression. In those times, I felt very lonely, even if I was surrounded with people. So these types of events and this ultimate destiny of ours of raising our vibration and moving into a new state of being is going to be, if it's new to you and you don't have any frame of reference, it can be quite lonely, and it can be quite scary, and it can be a huge challenge to think of what's going on, and I don't understand, and feeling like I'm the only person that experiences this. So the beautiful thing about this message is that they are saying that we are never alone. Even if we are alone in our houses and on earth, there are always beings around us, and whatever your beliefs around that, that is individual to you. I have had obvious experience that they are there, and many people that I've worked with have had very direct and unequivocal experience of this. It's beyond any doubt now, and just the cycle of life of birth and death, and past lives and child prodigies, and all of these things are just very clear indications that what we have been taught and what we have been conditioned around birth and death and what happens in between, or doesn't happen afterwards, is completely false. Again, if you're talking from a left brain or masculine or scientific point of view, I cannot. And quantum physics and all of these things are moving towards that, but I'm sharing with you my truth, and I'm sharing with you my experience, and so just know that you're not alone. Reach out to your fellow humans, reach out to people in groups that can understand you. That's the beauty of the internet. There are people somewhere, no matter what you're going through, there's someone somewhere on this earth that's contactable, that can understand, that can know. So this little dogs have come to join us again. Connect with your pets as well. That's a good one. But yeah, so it's important to know that you're not alone, that you have beings, physical and non-physical, helping and assisting. And if that sounds creepy to you or scary, that's again another conditioned element of our society, where in the past, anyone that talked about spirits or ghosts or anything that wasn't measurable by science, they were called either crazy, or they were rebuked, or they were made fun of, or in the worst cases, in the past, like the witch hunts or that type of thing, they were killed. And you have to look at these things from your own perspective and with an open mind of what you've experienced. And again, don't take my word for it, or don't take anyone else's word for it. Don't believe what you read. Don't believe what you hear. Take what resonates, take what works for you, and try it. And the only way you can experience anything or try anything or know if it's true for you is to actually experience it. I know, talking about what I'm talking about now, you can't just decide to Well, you actually can, but most of us don't have a frame of reference to just decide to communicate with non-physical. We have a lot of fears and conditioning around that. But many people pray, many people they ask for things and they come or don't come. We have a history of this, and whatever your beliefs around it is, asking for what you want, focusing on your highest good, there is no downside to it. Regardless of what you believe or what results you feel that you get, there is no downside to focusing on what you want and being there. So Louis says the link takes me to a login page, no option for sign up. Good webinar. Louis, if you are watching, you just enter your name and email address and you should get into the webinar there. So I'm hoping that everyone else is able to get on the Facebook. You can join on the personal Facebook page as well. So so if anyone else has any questions on the link, don't be shy. If you are in the webinar, you can share your question in private, and you don't need to put your name doesn't need to be mentioned or anything like that. So don't worry about that, about being outed on the World Wide Web. I will be obviously keeping your privacy as it should be. So I'm just going to check the Facebook again. Thank you, Nick. I hope that answered your question, and I'd be happy to talk with you more about that and see what comes up. Okay.